Late afternoon settles slowly over the dry forests of central India. The monsoon has not yet arrived, and the land carries the quiet tension of heat and waiting. Tall sal trees stretch upward in uneven columns, their leaves barely stirring in the warm air. Dust hangs lightly above the forest floor, disturbed only by the cautious movement of grazing animals. Spotted cheetal deer drift through patches of fading grass, their hooves making soft, deliberate contact with the earth. Langur monkeys sit high in the branches, scanning the ground below with restless eyes. The forest seems calm, but calm in the wild is rarely the absence of danger. It is simply the moment before movement. A distant call rolls across the open land beyond the trees. Deep, vibrating, unmistakable. A lion's roar carries through the air, its low frequency designed by evolution to travel across kilometers of terrain. In Africa, it signals territory across wide savannas. Here, in this imagined meeting ground of ecosystems, the sound feels strangely out of place. Far within the shadows of the forest, another predator moves. A tiger slips between trunks and bamboo thickets with almost complete silence. Muscles ripple beneath its striped coat as it advances through familiar hunting paths. Every step is deliberate, every movement refined by thousands of generations of solitary survival. Two apex predators shaped by different continents. Two evolutionary paths built around strength, strategy, and dominance. In nature, lions and tigers almost never encounter each other. Their habitats rarely overlap. Their worlds evolved apart. But if they did meet, the encounter would not be myth or spectacle. It would be biology. The lion is a product of open land. For hundreds of thousands of years, populations of the species lion, Panthera leo, have evolved in environments where visibility stretches across wide distances, savannas, grasslands, and lightly wooded plains. These landscapes shape nearly every aspect of the lion's biology. Unlike most big cats, lions developed a social structure, a pride, often composed of related females, cubs, and a small coalition of males, allows them to dominate large territories and tackle prey that would challenge a solitary hunter. Adult male lions can reach body lengths of nearly 2.5 meters, excluding the tail, and commonly weigh between 180 and 250 kilograms. Their muscular forequarters and dense bone structure are adaptations for overpowering large ungulates, zebra, buffalo, and wildebeest. The mane of the male lion, unique among cats, is more than decoration. Studies in behavioral ecology suggest it serves both as protection during fights and as a signal of health and dominance to rivals and potential mates. But lions are not merely powerful animals. They are specialists in cooperative hunting. Lionesses often coordinate their movements across open terrain, using flanking maneuvers to isolate vulnerable prey from a herd. Research conducted in the academic field of behavioral ecology has shown that these coordinated hunts significantly increase success rates compared with solitary attempts. Their role within the ecosystem is profound. As apex predators, lions regulate herbivore populations and indirectly shape vegetation patterns. This top-down ecological influence is a textbook example of what scientists describe as a trophic cascade, a chain reaction in which predators influence multiple levels of an ecosystem simply by controlling prey numbers. The tiger represents a very different evolutionary strategy. The species tiger, Panthera tigris, evolved primarily in dense forests, wetlands, and river valleys across Asia. These habitats demand stealth rather than endurance. Where lions rely on cooperation and visibility, tigers rely on concealment. Their distinctive stripes are not simply patterns of beauty. They are a sophisticated form of camouflage. In the broken light of forest and tall grass, stripes disrupt the animal's outline, making it surprisingly difficult for prey to detect even a massive predator at close range. A fully grown male tiger can weigh between 220 and 300 kilograms, depending on subspecies, making it the largest living member of the cat family. Its body is built for explosive power. The forelimbs are thick with muscle, capable of delivering strikes strong enough to break bone or destabilize prey many times the cat's size. Tigers routinely hunt animals such as deer, wild boar, and even young water buffalo. Unlike lions, however, tigers are solitary. Each individual maintains a large territory that may span dozens or even hundreds of square kilometers depending on prey density. These territories are marked through scent, claw marks on trees, and vocalizations that travel through dense vegetation. This solitary lifestyle influences every part of tiger behavior. A tiger must succeed alone. There are no pride members to assist in a hunt or defend territory against intruders. Because of this, tiger hunting strategies rely heavily on patience and ambush. Field observations and tracking studies have shown that a tiger may stalk its prey for over half an hour, moving inch by inch through cover before launching a final charge that lasts only seconds. In ecological terms, both species occupy the same role, apex predator, yet their methods reflect the environments that shape them. One dominates the open plains through cooperation and territorial presence. The other rules dense wilderness through silence and sudden force. Across millions of years, both lions and tigers emerged from the same ancestral lineage within the genus Panthera. Fossil and genetic studies suggest that their evolutionary paths separated roughly 2 to 3 million years ago, when early big cats dispersed across Eurasia and Africa. From that shared origin, environmental pressures began shaping two very different predators. Ancient relatives of modern lions once ranged far beyond the African savannas commonly associated with them today. Fossil evidence reveals that lion populations historically occupied large portions of Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. One surviving remnant of this broader range still exists today in the Gir Forest National Park in western India, where the endangered Asiatic lion persists as the last wild population of lions outside Africa. These lions inhabit dry forests and scrubland rather than open savanna, demonstrating how adaptable the species can be when ecological conditions permit. Even so, the basic biology of lions remains closely tied to open terrain. Their long legs and large lungs support bursts of speed over short distances, while their social behavior allows them to guard wide territories from rival predators, such as hyenas or other lion coalitions. Male lions, in particular, are adapted for violent territorial contests. Their skulls are heavily reinforced, and the thick mane can partially absorb bites aimed at the neck during combat with rivals. Tigers followed a different environmental path. As forests spread across large parts of Asia during climatic shifts in the Pleistocene epoch, tiger populations adapted to habitats where visibility was limited and prey moved through dense vegetation. These conditions favored stealth and individual hunting skill. The result was a predator optimized for solitary ambush rather than group coordination. Among the largest of these subspecies is the Bengal tiger, found primarily across the forests and wetlands of the Indian subcontinent. Males in this population can exceed 270 kilograms, and their forelimb strength allows them to drag prey weighing several hundred kilograms through dense vegetation. Field biologists studying tiger kills have documented carcasses of large ungulates hauled more than 100 meters from the site of the initial attack, likely to avoid scavengers. Their hunting technique relies on distance and timing. Unlike lions, which may chase prey across open ground, a tiger usually attempts to approach within 20 meters before initiating a final charge. If the ambush fails, the hunt often ends immediately. Long pursuits through dense forest are energetically costly and rarely successful. Despite these differences, both animals are built around similar killing methods. Like all big cats in the Panthera lineage, lions and tigers typically subdue prey with powerful forelimb grappling followed by a suffocating throat bite. This technique compresses the windpipe and carotid arteries, causing rapid oxygen deprivation. But their strategies for reaching that final moment differ dramatically. Lions depend on cooperation and territorial dominance. Tigers rely on solitude, stealth, and precise ambush. If these two animals were ever to meet in the same territory, the encounter would not simply be a contest of size. It would represent a collision between two evolutionary solutions to the same problem: how to survive at the top of the food chain. The outcome would depend on many variables: terrain, age, health, experience, and the element of surprise. Nature rarely produces simple answers. Survival at the top of an ecosystem is never guaranteed. For apex predators like the lion and the tiger, dominance is not simply a matter of strength. It is a balance of energy, injury risk, and strategy. Evolution has shaped each species to survive within different environmental pressures, and those pressures influence how they hunt, fight, and endure. For the lion, survival is deeply connected to social structure. A pride operates as a cooperative unit, where responsibilities are divided across members. Lionesses perform most of the hunting, moving across open landscapes in coordinated formations that allow them to isolate prey from herds. Males, though less involved in daily hunts, play a crucial role in defending the pride's territory. Their presence deters rival males and other predators that might threaten cubs or steal kills. Scientific studies within behavioral ecology have shown that this cooperative system improves survival rates for both adults and offspring. Cubs raised within stable prides are more likely to reach adulthood compared to those born in unstable territories. Yet this social advantage comes with constant conflict. Male lions must regularly confront rival coalitions attempting to seize control of the pride. These battles can be violent and often fatal, leaving many males with scars or permanent injuries. The tiger's survival strategy operates in almost the opposite way. As a solitary predator, the tiger cannot rely on group defense or share hunting. Every decision carries direct consequences for the individual. A failed hunt means wasted energy. A serious injury could mean starvation. Because of this, tigers tend to avoid unnecessary confrontation whenever possible. Territory becomes a tiger's most valuable asset. A large, well-defended range ensures access to prey and reduces encounters with other tigers. Scent markings, scratch marks on trees, and deep vocalizations serve as warnings to rivals that the area is already occupied. In regions where prey is abundant, territories may overlap slightly, but direct conflict between adult males is rare and usually brief. When fights do occur, they are often severe, as both animals possess the strength to inflict lethal damage. This difference in survival strategy reflects the habitats that shaped each predator. Open landscapes reward cooperation and territorial defense through visibility and group strength. Dense forests reward silence, patience, and individual skill. Another critical angle lies in the mechanics of hunting itself. Lions, built for open environments, rely on bursts of speed over short distances. A lioness may accelerate to nearly 60 kilometers per hour during the final phase of a hunt, but this speed can only be sustained for a few seconds. The chase must end quickly, either in success or failure. Tigers rarely rely on speed in the same way. Their power lies in sudden force delivered at extremely close range. After a long, careful stalk, a tiger launches forward with explosive acceleration. Its forelimbs clamp around the prey's body, while powerful hind legs drive the momentum forward. The animal's weight alone can topple deer or wild boar before the suffocating bite is applied. In both predators, the final act of the hunt is almost identical. A bite closes around the throat or neck, compressing the airway and restricting blood flow. Within minutes, the struggle ends. These similarities reveal how closely related these animals truly are. Despite their differences in behavior and environment, both evolved the same fundamental method of killing, a technique perfected over millions of years within the lineage of the big cats. Another angle emerges when examining raw physical mechanics. Both the lion and the tiger possess extraordinary strength, but the distribution of that strength reflects their evolutionary demands. Male lions are built for endurance in conflict. Their thick neck muscles and dense skeletal frame allow them to absorb blows and bites during prolonged battles with rival males. Territorial fights between lions can last several minutes, involving repeated grappling, biting, and attempts to push the opponent off balance. The mane, though not impenetrable, forms a partial shield around the neck and throat, areas that are otherwise fatal targets during combat. Tigers, by contrast, exhibit extreme forelimb power relative to body size. Anatomical studies show that the tiger's shoulder and foreleg muscles are among the most developed in the cat family. This allows the animal to pin large prey to ground and maintain control during violent struggles. Observational field research has recorded tigers subduing animals heavier than themselves, including large wild cattle and adult deer. These differences do not necessarily determine superiority. Instead, they reveal two separate priorities. The lion evolved to withstand sustained combat with rivals, while the tiger evolved to overpower large prey in isolation. A fourth angle lies in intelligence and instinct. Big cats do not possess intelligence in the human sense of planning or reasoning, but they demonstrate remarkable spatial awareness and adaptive behavior. Long-term wildlife studies have documented both lions and tigers modifying hunting techniques depending on terrain, prey behavior, and seasonal changes. Lions often learn complex hunting roles within their prides. Some individuals specialize in flanking maneuvers, while others drive prey toward hidden members of the group. This division of roles appears to develop through experience rather than rigid instinct. Younger lions observe older hunters and gradually adopt similar strategies. Tigers display a different form of adaptability. Because they hunt alone, they must constantly evaluate the risk of every encounter. A tiger may abandon a hunt if wind direction shifts, if cover disappears, or prey becomes too alert. Camera trap studies have shown that tigers frequently alter their hunting routes depending on prey migration patterns, water availability, and human presence. Yet perhaps the most important angle is the moral neutrality of nature itself. In human imagination, confrontations between powerful animals are often framed as battles between heroes and villains. In reality, predators do not compete out of pride or malice. Every action is governed by survival. Energy must be conserved. Injury must be avoided whenever possible. A fight between apex predators is extremely dangerous for both participants. Even a minor wound can become fatal in the wild. Because of this, nature tends to favor avoidance rather than confrontation. Lions rarely attack animals that could seriously injure them unless hunger forces the risk. Tigers follow the same rule. If two such predators were to meet face to face, the outcome would depend less on aggression and more on circumstance. The terrain, the element of surprise, the age and condition of each animal, and whether escape remains possible. The wild does not seek conflict. It only demands survival. The air has cooled as evening approaches. Long shadows stretch across the forest edge where grassland meets dense woodland. In this narrow transition zone, where open terrain fades into tangled vegetation, two very different hunting worlds intersect. A lone male lion moves slowly along the grassland boundary. His mane is darkened by dust and age, the thick fur shifting with each heavy step. He is not part of a pride here. Solitary males often travel far beyond their original territories, searching for new land or an opportunity to challenge rival males. Such journeys can carry them into unfamiliar landscapes where survival becomes uncertain. The lion pauses, lifting his head slightly. His nose tests the evening air. Every predator relies on scent, and the forest ahead carries unfamiliar signals, markings that do not belong to antelope, buffalo, or other lions. They belong to a tiger. Within the forest, the tiger has already detected the intrusion. Its territory is defined not by visible boundaries, but by scent trails layered along trees, rocks, and pathways used for generations. The presence of another large predator is immediately clear. The tiger moves silently through the undergrowth, keeping the shadows where fading light breaks through the canopy in narrow bands. Its body remains low, muscles loose but ready. Unlike the lion, it does not announce its presence. There is no roar, no warning call, only observation. From within the trees, the tiger watches the lion approach the edge of the forest. The lion, accustomed to open landscapes, stands taller in the fading light. His posture carries the confidence of a predator used to confronting rivals directly. Male lions rely heavily on intimidation displays, size, vocalization, and visual dominance to discourage confrontation before it begins. But here, in dense woodland, those signals lose much of their advantage. The tiger steps closer, still hidden behind thick bamboo. The distance between them is less than 30 meters now. The lion senses movement and turns, amber eyes searching the dim forest interior. For a moment, both predators remain motionless. Each animal is evaluating the same calculation. Is this confrontation worth the risk? The lion exhales slowly, releasing a low rumble that vibrates through his chest. It is not a full roar, but a warning, an instinctive declaration of strength meant to discourage challenge. The tiger answers not with sound, but with movement. It steps from the shadows. The forest suddenly holds two of the most powerful land predators on Earth, facing one another in a quiet tension of the coming night. Neither animal rushes forward. Apex predators rarely waste energy without reason. They circle slowly, closing distance one cautious step at a time. The lion's shoulders roll forward as he shifts weight between massive forelegs. The tiger's body remains lower, its head aligned with its spine, eyes fixed steadily on the rival before it. Every muscle is ready, but both animals understand the same truth written deep in instinct. A fight between predators can leave no victor. The light continues to fade as evening deepens across the forest edge. The grassland is now a muted bronze under the last light of the sun, while the trees behind the tiger dissolve into layers of shadow. Between these two worlds stand the predators themselves, each weighing the cost of the next move. The male lion shifts first. He steps forward with slow, deliberate confidence, head raised slightly higher now. The movement is not a direct attack. It is a test, a controlled advance meant to assert presence and pressure a rival to retreat. Lions evolved in landscapes where confrontation is often unavoidable. Territory, pride, and mating rights depend on the ability to face challengers head-on. The tiger does not retreat immediately. Instead, it pivots slightly to the side, maintaining distance while adjusting its position. This movement reflects the tiger's hunting instincts, always aware of angles, always careful not to expose its flank. Its striped body blends into the dim forest margin, breaking its outline against the tangled vegetation. For several seconds, the two predators remain locked in silence. Then the lion releases a deeper growl, the sound vibrating through the air. It is louder now, closer to the roar that dominates open savannas. The vocalization carries both warning and display, an instinctive signal meant to demonstrate size and strength. The tiger responds differently. It lowers its body even further and takes a sudden step forward, closing several meters in an instant. The movement is explosive but controlled, an assertion of readiness rather than a full attack. Now the distance between them is barely 15 meters. At this range, both animals can see every detail of the other. The lion's thick mane framing his skull, the tiger's broad shoulders rising and falling with steady breath. Each predator understands the danger of the opponent standing before it. The lion swipes the ground once with a heavy paw, claws briefly exposed. Dust scatters across the dry earth. His ears tilt forward, eyes fixed directly on the tiger. The tiger's tail moves slowly from side to side, a subtle motion used by many cats during moments of intense focus. Its muscles tighten beneath the striped coat, storing energy for a potential burst of movement. But the final decision remains suspended in the air. Predators survive not through reckless aggression, but through calculation. A single broken limb, a deep bite wound, or a torn muscle could mean starvation in the weeks ahead. For several long moments, neither animal advances. Then the tiger turns slightly back toward the forest. The movement is not submission. It is strategy. Dense woodland is a tiger's domain, where stealth and cover provide advantages that open ground cannot. The lion, heavier and less adapted to maneuvering through tight vegetation, would lose many of his natural strengths there. The tiger takes several slow steps backward into the shadows. The lion watches carefully but does not follow. In the wild, dominance is not always decided through violence. Often, it is determined by terrain, circumstance, and the simple understanding of risk. Within seconds, the forest absorbs the tiger's striped form. Only the faint rustle of bamboo reveals where it passed. The lion remains at the boundary for several moments longer, breathing steadily as the last light fades across the grassland. Then he turns away, returning to the open plains where his own instincts and adaptations reign. No battle has taken place, yet the encounter reveals something deeper about the nature of apex predators. Survival favors restraint as much as strength. Night settles fully over the forest edge. The last warmth of the day fades in the earth, replaced by the cooler currents that move quietly through grass and trees after sunset. The solitary lion walks slowly back toward the open plains, his broad paws pressing softly into the dry soil. The encounter has ended without violence, but its consequences still ripple through instinct and territory. For the lion, this landscape remains unfamiliar. The dense woodland ahead does not favor his hunting style. Lions evolved in environments where visibility and coordinated movement give advantage. Alone, and within heavy cover, the lion's ability to pursue prey becomes limited. Herd animals here vanish quickly into vegetation, and ambush predators already occupy the best hunting corridors. Solitary male lions often experience periods like this during their lives. When displaced from a pride or defeated in territorial conflicts, they may travel vast distances across unsuitable habitats. Many fail to establish new territories. Some eventually reclaim dominance elsewhere. Others disappear into the margins of ecosystems where survival becomes uncertain. Field research conducted across large predator populations has shown that such dispersal plays an important ecological role. Moving males introduce genetic diversity when they eventually join or take over new prides. Yet the journey itself is dangerous, exposing the animal to starvation, human conflict, or rival predators. Deeper within the forest, the tiger resumes its silent patrol along familiar pathways. The encounter has reinforced the invisible boundary that defines its territory. Tigers rely heavily on these scent-marked zones to maintain separation from competitors. When another large predator enters a range, even briefly, the tiger often responds by intensifying territorial signals, scratching tree trunks, spraying scent markings, and patrolling frequently used routes. This behavior has been documented in long-term wildlife studies conducted across tiger reserves in India. Motion-sensitive camera traps and radio tracking have shown that tigers adjust their movement patterns rapidly after detecting unfamiliar predators or rival individuals. The goal is not constant confrontation, but reinforcement of presence. The forest ecosystem itself remains largely unaffected by the brief meeting. Apex predators influence their environment over long periods through hunting pressure and territorial stability rather than isolated encounters. The tiger continues to regulate populations of deer, boar, and other herbivores that move through the forest. These prey animals, in turn, shape the vegetation through grazing patterns. This cascading chain of ecological relationships reflects the principle scientists describe as a trophic cascade, where predators indirectly influence multiple layers of an ecosystem. By controlling prey populations, large carnivores help maintain balance between vegetation growth and herbivore consumption. Even a momentary encounter between two apex predators fits quietly within this broader system. It does not define the ecosystem. It simply reveals how carefully survival is negotiated at the top of the food chain. The next morning, the forest and adjacent grasslands stir with life once again. The lion has moved farther into open terrain, returning to the environment where his adaptations provide clear advantage: visibility, coordinated hunting, and broad, unobstructed paths. While the previous day's encounter did not result in injury, the lion's muscles and senses remain alert, attuned to both prey and potential rivals. In solitary dispersal, energy conservation becomes critical. Every step and decision influences survival. For the tiger, life in the dense forest continues as before. Prey animals resume cautious grazing under canopy, acutely aware that a predator is near. The tiger's movements, precise and measured, demonstrate the efficiency of solitary hunting. Within its territory, success is measured not by confrontation with other apex predators, but by the ability to maintain strength, health, and access to prey. Long-term studies in wildlife reserves have documented that tigers whose territories are undisturbed exhibit higher reproductive success and lower stress levels, underscoring the evolutionary advantage of strategic avoidance over combat. The ecological consequences of this brief encounter extend subtly through both landscapes. Lions, by patrolling and defending open terrain, influence the movement and behavior of ungulate herds, which in turn shapes grassland regeneration and species composition. Tigers, through solitary predation and territorial reinforcement, control herbivore distribution within dense forest ecosystems, preventing overbrowsing and maintaining plant diversity. In both cases, apex predators act as regulators, maintaining balance within their respective habitats. Observations from multiple field studies indicate that apex predators often avoid unnecessary conflict precisely because the cost of injury is high. A minor wound can compromise mobility, reduce hunting efficiency, and ultimately result in starvation. In evolutionary terms, restraint can be as advantageous as aggression. By respecting territorial boundaries, even with species they rarely encounter, both lions and tigers optimize long-term survival while minimizing risk. The encounter also highlights the role of environment in shaping behavior. The lion, adapted for open plains and cooperative hunting, relies on intimidation and presence to avoid confrontation when possible. The tiger, adapted for dense forests and solitary hunting, relies on stealth and terrain advantage. When these two apex predators meet at the margin of their potential ranges, survival instincts, rather than violence, dictate the outcome. In the end, Both animals return to their respective habitats, uninjured but subtly influenced by the encounter. The lion's dispersal continues, each step measured and cautious. The tiger maintains vigilance along familiar corridors, its territory reaffirmed. Life continues, hunting, patrolling, and surviving, as it always has at the top of the food chain. In the quiet that follows, the forest and the grassland return to their natural rhythm. No roar, no strike, no bloodshed marks the encounter. Only the subtle acknowledgement of presence, of boundaries measured and respected. The lion moves across open plains, muscles coiled yet untested. Senses alert to opportunity and danger. The tiger melts into the shadows of dense forest, every step precise, every pathway familiar, every instinct honed by centuries of solitary survival. This is nature in its purest form. Neither heroic nor cruel, neither moral nor vindictive. Survival is measured not in glory, but in restraint, in the careful balance of risk and energy, in the ability to endure another day. Apex predators embody this principle at its most extreme. Power alone does not define dominance. Wisdom embedded in instinct often decides the outcome long before bodies clash. Their worlds rarely overlap. Yet in this imagined intersection, a deeper truth emerges. Evolution crafts strategies tailored to environment, terrain, and opportunity. Cooperation and visibility shape one. Stealth and precision shape the other. Both are supreme in their domains, yet both understand the cost of miscalculation. The story of the lion and the tiger is not a tale of confrontation. It is a lesson in survival, in measured force, and in the relentless logic of life at the top. In observing them, we glimpse the indifferent efficiency of nature, beauty and danger intertwined, endurance forged through choice, and life maintained through the quiet wisdom of instinct. Here, in these forests and plains, the apex predator moves on, the ecosystem persists, and the balance of life continues, immutable, unforgiving, and profoundly elegant.